Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Vaughan Manor and another thrill packed episode of my 100 favorite books project. I came up with a list of my 100 favorite books. I made a video about it. I'll link it down below, like I always do in these videos. And what I do in these videos is I'll take a book from that list of my 100 favorite books. I will try to find the best edition I can of that book. For me, anyway. The edition I want the most out of all the editions I can get my grubby hands on. And then, for the most part, if I have another edition of that that's just lying around, I will get rid of it. That's the theory. It hasn't actually occurred that way yet, but I'm sure at some point in the future it will, because, that's the plan. But anyway, the book I'm talking about today is a book by one of my favorite writers of all time, Richard Matheson, and that would be The Shrinking Man by Richard Matheson, one of his most famous books. It was made into a film, The Incredible Shrinking Man. The Shrinking Man was published in 1956, and it was originally published as a paperback original. Just a little paperback book. That's how this novel was originally published. And now, I had to try to find a fancy edition of this novel. There is a fancy edition of this novel that I found. The best edition that I found is by the Easton Press, and that would be this one. Look how cool that is. This is the Easton Press edition of The Shrinking Man. Really, really nice edition of this book. And I think it's kind of cool that, this book that started off as just a science fiction paperback original has gone on to have gathered such a great reputation and eventually was published in this extra fancy pants edition of The Shrinking Man. This is the collector's edition by the Easton Press. Has a drawing there. Has a few illustrations in this edition. But this is the drawing of the cloud, the radioactive cloud that our hero Scott Carey is exposed to in the beginning of this story. So this is an incredible novel. It is a science fiction novel. But really, it functions more as a horror story. And Stephen King talks a lot about it in his book about the horror genre, Dance Macabre. This is one of the books that he focuses on. And it's worth the attention because it's just so excellent. Our poor protagonist, Scott Carey, who's exposed to this cloud, and it's like a toxic cloud of radioactive spray. And the results of this is that he starts to shrink. And it's hard to see at first. It's 1/7 of an inch every day. No matter how small it's always 1/7 of an inch. Every day he shrinks. And so once this becomes noticeable, he goes to the doctor. He eventually there's a bunch of tests on him. Scientists are trying to figure out what the hell is going on with him. And all of the doctors and scientists that he has to deal with, none of them can stop what's happening to him. Nobody has a cure for this. Eventually, he's going to shrink down, to nothing. And so it's a terrifying prospect because eventually he's just literally going to shrink to nothing. And every day he's smaller and smaller. Every day the world becomes larger and more dangerous. Every day he is more estranged from other people. His relationship with his wife suffers. and his relationship with his family suffers, because the smaller he gets, the less respect and dignity he has. And so he has to deal with that. He has to deal with him getting smaller and diminishing in his own life, and the horror of that situation. And of course, eventually he becomes so small that the world becomes very, very dangerous. And there's an extensive scene or series of scenes that take place in the basement, where he's trapped in the basement. And it's an incredible sequence that goes throughout the book. The writing in this is just excellent. It is a riveting story. Richard Matheson is so good at writing about a person who is all alone and against forces that are so much larger than himself, literally in this case. And in this case, he also has to face his ultimate demise. I mean, what is going to happen to him when he gets so small? Because he just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. What is going to become of this guy? He's going to die, right? It's really, really good. I cannot express to you how good this book is. And so, of course, I wanted a really, really nice edition. And I think, as far as I'm aware, this is the best edition you can get. It's the best edition that I've found, anyway. And it's a really, really nice Easton Press edition. It's a little smaller than the other Easton Press editions. Some of their science fiction books are a little smaller than their other books. But it doesn't matter, because it's just much like their other books. The quality is just fantastic. And this one has some very cool illustrations. This is a particularly frightening situation, as you might imagine. I mean, just look how cool that is. It is just so cool. So I was really, really happy that I was able to find this. It wasn't super expensive either. It was worth the money, I'll say that. And so, yeah, now I have this beautiful edition of this novel. But who cares how nice the edition is? Find any old edition of this book and read it. It doesn't matter, really. It's a fantastic book. So worth your time. It really is. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about this particular book at this particular time. I will catch you next time. I probably won't be around tomorrow, because I'm not going to have any time to film between now and tomorrow. So I'm afraid the Sunday Penguin is going to get the boot again. That seems unfair to the Sunday Penguin. Oh, well, what do you do? So I will catch you Monday, probably, right? Friday, Saturday. Yeah. I had to figure out what day this is going up. Okay. It is. I'm on the right day. This is Saturday. Okay, guys, I will catch you next time.